Welcome, everyone, GM, and welcome to our weekly All Hands for November 5th, 2025. So it's our weekly All Team Tactical. We're going to use this time to sync up on work going on around B Foundation, eliminate blockers, and prioritize our work for the next week. Just FYI, this call is recorded, and sometimes we share clips on social media, although we haven't been doing that lately. But if you don't want to be shared, just let me know. The entire call does go onto YouTube, though, so that is something. If you don't want to be on YouTube, please don't speak. But other than that, um, if you forgot why we're here to help purpose-driven communities use Web3 tooling to generate revenue and engagement. If you want to learn more, we have a little Why BCard page where you can learn a little bit why we're doing that. On the lag metric side, this is what we're trying to achieve. Actually, I think we need to update this. Actually, all of the lag and lead metrics probably need to be updated as we're kind of expanding our offering to beyond just BCard, but into more things that could potentially help purpose-driven communities. But let's go through them anyways right now. So on the transaction volume, we had $75 in transaction volume last week. I did also notice that we had 8 weekly transacting users, which is a little bit more than we normally have. So it's probably due to those inactivity fees that we were kind of discussing over the last week. So NFThinker did post an email that we could send to our users, but we haven't really gotten into the development on that yet. This is hopefully something that we can send users in the monthly email and maybe even an extra email, which is the email that NFThinker worked on. But I haven't validated that that's what it is, but I suspect that that's what it is. So we'll take a look at that when we can. 0 new users this week and 11 communities deployed. Those are both +0 from the previous week. On the team-wide announcement side, don't forget to use what did you ship in the team section of our Discord. When you do anything for B Foundation, could be something super small, even just like a little 15-minute thing. You'll notice that actually most of the stuff from this week has just been little 15 minutes. Those little 15 minutes add up. I mean, I feel like just Tom, for instance, did 2 15-minute blocks to push out our monthly emails and do our monthly reconciliation. Those kinds of small things are really, really important for BCard. So, yeah, please, even when you're doing something small, throw it into the what did you ship, and we'll send you some token. On the standard bounty side, if you don't know what you need, what you want to do, we do have some things you can do: card designs, articles, emails, and we're looking for people to call nonprofits. So anyone who gets us a new nonprofit can get some BCard tokens as well. Getting down into the new member intros, we do have a new member today, actually. Phil, do you want to unmute and tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what brings you
Yeah,
here, and what you might like to contribute?
absolutely. So I'm what am I? I'm a developer, I guess. By trade, I've developed for, 10, 20 years, and I've worked in finance a lot. Eventually did a CFA, and now I've been dabbling in Web3 for probably 6 years. Started by mining ETH on a hobby rig at home, and then eventually discovered how to get the money out of the wallet and walk my way through all the ups and downs of Web3 and crypto. And so now I've been looking for projects to participate in, and I stumbled on in Farcaster. I stumbled on your account from a post from someone in Montreal, and I thought, wow, that'd be great to contribute to something that's a link between TradFi and Web3, which is probably where I can contribute the most, and also kind of local because some of the members are in Toronto, Montreal. So here I am, just looking to listen today and see how I can help you guys out and go from there.
All right, thanks a lot. I'm just writing notes in case you haven't seen my screen, but yeah, that's what I was doing as you're talking. Thanks, great to have you here, Phil. And of course, we could always use the help. So if you have any questions, feel free to just go ahead and unmute and ask them, or
Hey,
you
Phil.
can leave a message in. Go ahead, Tom.
Great,
Sounds
great
good.
backstory, Phil.
Thanks.
I like it. Sounds very similar to mine. I was just going to ask you
Okay.
specifics about development. Are you focused on front end, back end, IT?
Did a lot of back end. Did worked a lot for smaller companies, so I did everything that was needed to be done. I worked for a
Right.
long time for like a boutique broker dealer. So we
Oh,
did
lovely.
everything from fixed connections to the front end, the back end, reset the database, whatever is needed, and then
Jack
worked
of all
for.
trades.
Yeah, exactly. And more
Nice.
recently, I did product for larger financial institutions and development for them. So a bit of
That's
everything.
awesome. I'll love to learn a little bit about your experience as we get to know you more.
Great. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And so, in terms of localness, Tom and I are in a Toronto area, although I will say I'm a Montrealese by heart. And um, the others are dispersed kind of around the world. But yeah, we do have a nice little community in Toronto. All right. On the milestone perspective, our goals are to create revenue and engagement for purpose-driven communities. We do need to update some of these milestones, but looking at our 10 weekly transacting users, on the support side, Shelby's working on a transaction bug and a snapshot bug. Shelby did tell me that she's unable to make it today, but she'll see me next week. So I expect her to be around next week. I'm just going to leave it here. I don't think she actually did work on this. She was blocked with some test cases, so we'll have to. I'll have to get together with her on that so I can unblock her. I did send out a refund to a user who closed out their account. This is something we talked about last week on kind of like our refund strategy and how we wanted to do it. And so the user did successfully close the account. And so on the upside, we had to give out $15, which we didn't actually take in. That was something that was charged by a card provider. But on the upside, we did get to test that kind of card close flow, which happened through his bank account. So I think that that's really interesting. I'm also looking at an issue with PayPal payments. We had one of our kind of longer term users have all of a sudden issues with their PayPal account, and honestly, the support from Transcard hasn't been great on this. They're just saying, "Hey, it's an address issue," and it's just like, "Well, yeah, we know it's an address issue. It says so in the dashboard, but why did it change from 1 month to the next?" So I'm going to poke them a little bit more on this. Maybe I'll poke our technical resource at Transcard if I don't get a satisfactory answer. But I think we owe this user like a little bit more of a dig into this. Yeah, and so I'm going to be working on that a little bit more this week. Updates to backend and admin dashboard. How's this going, Tom?
Still a work in progress. Not much put in yet this week, but I'm hoping this week to be able to wrap up sort of the last bit of testing that I want to do on staging and get ready for a production push for that new API server.
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. On the community pages side, or rather on the idea of getting 10 new users a week, on the community pages side, I actually also made no progress. The two things on my plate are to make the site mobile and to integrate the changes that Tom made. So yeah, payments. I guess it's like, yeah, I'll call it payments, but it's really Tom made it easy to deposit and withdraw from our on-chain endowment fund. And so once I make the site mobile, I'm going to integrate that branch, do a little CSS, and then we'll have a kind of like easy way to deposit and withdraw for users on the web. And then the next step will be to hopefully make that Farcaster native so that people can easily do that with their Farcaster accounts. The only thing is that there's going to be a bit of a refactor, or I think like a major refactor, because we won't just be using Privy accounts. We'll be potentially using Farcaster accounts as well. Yeah, and so hopefully I will be able to finish at least getting the site mobile this week, and hopefully also the integrating payment side. That would be my stretch goal. So knock on wood. Um, on the in-app voting and endowment fund, I did get a couple of hosts who said they'd submit. I just checked this morning; they haven't yet, but they did have the events. They did post their pictures, and so I want to put up an on-chain vote in the next week. So, like, let's say by this time next week, I want to get that on-chain vote up, and hopefully have at least 4 event hosts on there. So that's the goal from my side, and we shall see. And then finally, we have 10 high quality communities. We're working on our own community right now. Richard, how's the blog post on our system looking?
Well, so I haven't made any progress on it, so I guess
Okay, yeah.
nothing to
It was a low progress week, I think, for everyone. But there's always a little bit of down week, so let's not be too hard on ourselves as we move forward. Let's poke in on the Asana. Check out what we have up here. Going down into this week, community pages milestone. Well, we just talked about this. Really, we need to get the site mobile ready, and then add the deposit and withdraw widget. So I'm working on that. Admin refactor. We also talked about this. The snapshot polls, and I guess the two bugs that Shelby's working on, we left here. We do have this endowment fund where I'm going to just leave this here for now, but honestly, I probably need to reconcile this. And then this is the article that we just talked about. We do have a bunch of stuff on the next up column. And then as well, I think, Richard, you were also working on checking out our multi-sig um, inside of inside of Taxman. How's that looking?
Well, I've pulled some of them, but not everything. But it actually it uh, does the activity pretty well. But I haven't what I was going to do is try to see if I could get the activity to equal the current balances, and I haven't done that check.
Okay.
And it would also be validating because we did the accounting for the tax reporting for last year, so I want to make sure it foots to that.
So is that what I should add here? You're essentially getting us ready for tax time.
Yeah, that's basically what I was try to see if I could get like a system so everything would be up to date and like pretty much ready to file with just a little bit of review on the Panama Foundation stuff. Well, like the multi-sig filing.
Nice. Okay. With US LLC. All right. Okay, so I'm adding this here.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
All right,
The US LLC I think is just based on the. Well, I mean, we got to look at stuff, but that's mainly from the Mercury account.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just the Mercury account. But yeah, I just figured like that's the outcome we're looking for is to submit our 2025 taxes, right? Like that's what you're kind of working on.
Yep.
Okay. So does this success criteria make sense?
Yep. Yes.
All right, cool. Okay. Anything else that we're working on that's not on this list? And I think, I guess that you're working on the inactivity fee features.
Yeah, I drafted a email that could be sent out to people. Oh, I see that you made some small edits. Sorry, I hadn't seen that before. So
yeah, I made some small edits yesterday. They were pretty small. One is like just to kind of accord with our existing email sign-offs and that kind of thing. And then, I mean, if you feel so inclined, I've made templates on our MailJet. And I think like what we want to create is a transactional template, because what we'll do is we will send this through MailJet via our code, but we'll want to use a template to do it. So if you feel so inclined, you can create that email using a transactional template, and then it's kind of going to be shovel ready for us to use then in the code.
Yeah, that's no problem. I had some trouble logging into the password.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
why don't we take after this meet? If you have a couple minutes, we can just figure that out right away. Yeah. So our password vault is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember if I actually got into it or not. I was having some troubles. I'll double check while we're on the call here, see if I can get in there.
Yeah, Shelby was saying the same thing. I was able to log into it just fine, so maybe it's kind of like a reset password situation. Anyways, we'll see. We'll figure it out
Okay.
because that's what Shelby was blocked on too from testing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Anything else that we're working on that's not on this list? All right. Going into what did we ship last week? So Richard participated in the ops meet and performed ops tasks like running multi-sig transactions using Taxman. That's good for 500 BCard. I did the support check and reimbursement for that user. So that's 500 BCard. I prepped and held the all hands. That's 2K BCard. Edit Thinker signed and executed a refund transaction for Crypto Kingdom. That's 250 BCard. Richard entered contributor rewards. That is 250 BCard. Tom did manual distribution for our does say 126 monthly statements. Is that the amount of monthly statements?
Yeah, that's the number of mails that went out.
Okay.
Just as an FYI, if you were reconciling against
Now
mail jet.
okay, cool, great. And Tom settled our October rewards as well. Sent it out to people's BCards wallets. That's 250 BCard. I also did customer support for this PayPal user. That's 250 BCard. I sent out contributor rewards. That's 250 BCard. And then I posted the top contributors on social. That's 250 BCard. All right. Anything else that we shipped that's not here? And I think, oh yeah, no, you did sign an executed refund transaction, but for the email that you wrote, you may want to put that into the what did you ship as well. If you did, I can, or I mean, how much time did you spend? Do you want me to just put it in right now? Oh, I think we lost enough thinker.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had unmuted. I thought I had put that in the shipping channel.
I saw that you. Nope, it doesn't look like it unless I missed it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
double check
I
me.
must have forgotten to put that in there.
Okay. Well, how much time did you spend on it?
That was about 15 minutes.
Okay. And a thinker wrote an email for inactive accounts, 50 mins, 250 card. Okay. Anything else
Thank you.
that we shipped? All right. So let's go down into the discussion items. I mean, I wrote this down because I thought it's something that I've been looking at lately, but maybe if there are other potentially interesting things we could talk about, we do have a new contributor here as well. So, Phil, if you have any questions about BCard, I realize now looking back at what we just talked about that it might have been a little bit difficult for you to kind of get where we were just based on that meet. So we're open for discussion items. But yeah, see you unmuted. What's up, Phil?
Yeah, well, totally. I mean, it's I understand this is a weekly meeting, so probably not the best time for me to like get the intro and understand like the mission and everything you're doing and the get into the details. But if you or Tom or someone else has time, perhaps later today or later this week, I'd love to maybe take half an hour to just go through what you guys are doing. What's the next big thing for you, or how I can, contribute and to just to see if I can help out. It seems all the subjects you guys are talking about are vaguely familiar. I'm not too familiar with credit card transactions, but everything else is seems doable. So, anyways, unless you guys want to do the intro, it seems like the way I understand it. Like I use ShakePay. I have a ShakePay card. I get
Mm-hmm.
rewards, and I kind of see a similarity here where you want to provide the same kind of service for communities. Is my understanding correct, or does that make
Yeah.
some
So
sense?
that your understanding is correct, and there is like there's I guess like some provisos as well. So like in general, the place where we're at right now is that we have a debit card that we launched in the United States, and we don't like in general. every time you swipe a card in North America, 1% to 2% is going to a bank. We were hoping to be able to get some of that and redirect it towards communities, but
Mhm.
um, to get that kind of rip off of a transaction fee, you need to like put upfront like something like $1 million or $2 million towards getting a startup up and running with card providers like a Marqeta, or there are lots of other card providers too. We just weren't able to do that. We're a nonprofit. So we have a debit card which provides between 0.1 and 0.5%, so up to 0.5%. So like maybe
Okay.
up to 1/4, but it takes a lot of transaction volume for us to be able to do that. And so we're kind of stuck in this awkward place that we need more users to create more transaction volume, and we need more transaction volume to get more
Yeah.
users interested. And so we have been kind of like, we have the card out. We have an app out for it, and we're kind of like maintaining on that side. But we're trying to create value in other ways so that the card can be not just our main product, but like part of a kind of let's call it like a network of products that could help communities get revenue and engagement, because the card doesn't really work the way it is now for communities unless a lot of people are using it, and communities are hesitant to get a lot of people using it with the way it is now. So we need to add some additional value, and we're aiming to do that with some of the other products that we're working on. So that's kind of like
Okay.
the state of where we're in right now. But I will definitely like we can definitely have a larger chat about it today if you have time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, in fact, I think it's good for us to somewhat regularly go into our why BCard, and so we'll just go through this. But I would say that this is probably changed to YB Foundation now. Um, but I think it's good for us to go through our why. It's pretty short, so let's take a couple minutes here to just take a look at this and remind ourselves why we're here. So in general, something that brought a lot of us together. So Tom, NF Thinker, Richard, and a bunch of other contributors that we have and have had here at B Foundation. Um, we came from Bankless DAO, and so some of the things that really brought us together was this idea that right now we see the world as kind of controlled by these large top-down organizations. Big banks control how we can use our money. Big tech controls the tools that we use just to like make a living and even connect with each other. Big government fights for corporations instead of individuals, and big pharma prioritizes money over eradication of disease. This is just like kind of like a subset of some of the things that I would say we have in common. I mean, let's do a gut check here, though. Does this ring true to you guys, Tom, Arcusy, and NF Thinker?
Yeah, it does. Tools for the little guy to help them compete, I think, with the big guys. Definitely one of the things that I thought is enabled by more accessible programs and Web3 specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why we're here. The idea that the only solution to top-down control is bottom-up initiative, and we are trying to create that initiative. So every action has a reaction. In reaction to profit-driven domination, individuals are turning to purpose-driven organizations. We see this in some big trends, but in general, a lot of these purpose-driven organizations have been overlooked and underserved by TradFi because they aren't moneymakers. But because we are a nonprofit, we potentially can serve them. Everyone here is kind of volunteering their time and effort. Some weeks we may have people doing a lot of work, and some weeks we don't get as much time. But the idea is that because we're not because we're not profit driven, we can help some of these purpose driven communities. And we have this idea that these organizations that we're trying to help are filled with purpose driven people just like us. And so we can potentially understand them in a way that profit driven organizations cannot. And we also think that a lot of these organizations can benefit from Web3 tooling, but in general, it's super hard for them to use it. It's just not easy to do that. And so BCard or B Foundation aims to help purpose-driven communities use Web3 tooling to generate revenue and engagement. Actually, the way that we started was that we wanted to bridge the UX gap between Web3 and the real world. We still want to do that. But the way that, like, I would say that this kind of rallying cry that we have right now, we're aiming to help purpose-driven communities use Web3 tooling to generate revenue and engagement. That is kind of like a refinement of that idea of bridging the bridging the UX gap between Web3 and the real world. That works for what we're trying to do right now. Does that make sense? Any questions or comments on this?
Yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah, very clear.
All right. So what we're aiming to do, we're aiming to create user-friendly tools to help purpose-driven communities generate revenue and excitement. So there are lots of Web3 tools which can help communities, but they're just hard to use. And so that's why we're trying to bridge the UX gap between Web3 and the real world. How we're going to do it? Well, we have some products that we've created already. We have the BCard Vault, which is a shared password manager. And this is really just like a Vault Warden deployment that we did like 3 years ago. TaxMan is an easy to use tool to help DAO contributors understand their tax obligations. It is not great for traders and stuff like that, but taxman.getbcard.io. If you go to here, you can kind of see how it works and how it's kind of like looking at, in general, incoming and outgoing tokens, assuming that they're all income or expenses. And then the BCard debit card is a payment card which helps communities raise money from TradFi fees while offering a safe and easy way for anyone to join a Web3 community. Right now, we're working on community pages. So if you go to blackflagcollective.org, this is kind of our proof of concept of our community page. You can see that it's not as, let's say, as tight as it could be. But you can see we have the ability for anyone to log in, create a Web3 wallet, and then actually they can vote in a very like kind of Web 2e UX using a Web3 wallet. And now we have a couple of other tools that we're adding. For instance, Tom created something which allows us to easily add to these smart contracts, which are automatically creating yield, which we use to distribute every month for in real life events. And now we can do that one click in our system, although we haven't deployed it yet to production. So these are kinds of these are some of the products that we're working on, and that's the why. That's something a little bit around why we're doing what we're doing. But does that make sense? I mean, Christy and a thinker, I haven't heard from you. Just wanted to make sure that does this why still make sense for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of onward, slow moving mission of us. So yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I think we're still on board.
All right. All right. So that's why we're here. And I will talk a little bit deeper to you about it today, Phil. We can talk a little bit more about it, but yeah, it's good for us to have a gut check every once in a while.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll reach out after the call and we can set a time and go over all this if you today if you're okay with that.
Yeah, let's do it today. Sounds good.
Okay, good.
All right. Anything else we want to discuss? Do we want to get deeper into the why? Did we want to? Is there any other things that popped up this week, or do we want to talk about AI workflows? Yeah. Tom, I see you're typing. Right. Well, we'll get into, I guess, the AI workflows for now if we have nothing else to talk about. But in general, SB Tracker to our suite, the rebrand for B
Oh yeah,
Tracker.
it was nothing major
Okay.
for sure. I was just thinking that maybe to add to our suite, maybe we would have something like a business finance tracker for all these small Web3 businesses that are starting up, so that they could even have a little bit more of insight into sort of their revenue and expenses and maintainability, as we know that sustainability of business moves. You can do the demo mode if you want to take a peek in there. I think it's got some obscured data that you can look at. So.
Oh, there's the demo mode. Okay. Yeah. I remember. Oh yeah, I went into the to the dark mode.
Oh, this is my cyberpunk theme or whatever, cypherpunk theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's obviously just a beta app, a work in progress, something that I'm working towards developing. But really, I'm just using it myself as a sort of personal replacement for FreshBooks, which I've used for many years. And I thought that a lot of small businesses could get some benefits from having sort of an increased visibility into their profitability and like sort of sustainability as they grow. So it might be something that we could add into the community pages for businesses, because communities are in a sense businesses. And I'm working on another one too. I might have mentioned that's more of a personal finance tracker. It's like a Mint replacement. So we might be able to offer those two for like personal users and communities as little tools.
Yeah, so like just as an aside, I've been actually speaking to small business owners recently as I'm trying to figure out what the next thing I want to do in my professional life. And so I'm narrowing in on a couple of things, like couple of themes that people are looking at more recently. Anyways, it's something I definitely think we should talk about. But I would say like one of the interesting things that I saw someone do was they used Google Apps Script and they used AI. Like they're not a programmer at all, but they used Google to handle all of their kind of like business accounting and task tracking and stuff. And they wrote a Google Apps Script which goes through all of their emails and it turns all of the emails which are like it like looks for certain keywords like invoice or payment or whatever, and it takes if there's an attachment, it takes it and saves it into a folder. If there's no attachment, it prints the PDF and saves it in the folder. um, and then it like looks at all of those using like Google Gemini to extract the cost and the tax and this kind of thing. And it automatically looks for duplicates as well. Anyways, the reason I thought it was really interesting is because he said, and I had other like bookkeeping in general is top of mind for a lot of people, even when they're using QuickBooks, which is
Yeah, I
kind of
can imagine.
interesting. Yeah. So bookkeeping is top of mind to a lot of small businesses, which is if we could make an easy to use bookkeeping thing, which just like consumed your email. And
Yeah, no, that is pretty sweet. I love the idea of like if you can feed it data, it can sort of like work with it. And I've mostly just been using like sort of CSV imports and exports or whatever. But yeah, like having something like that you could sort of like feed in credentials or whatever to grab your data. Is a good idea too.
yeah. So I'm like still like I'm still kind of in like information gathering mode. Like I don't understand what the shape of this really needs to look like because also, I guess I have this kind of feeling. I mean, it relates to this discussion around AI workflows, but like my feeling is that the game has changed in the way that we might deliver the value to people. Before it was always kind of like it's a website and everything has to be done within the website, and you have an import and an export, and maybe if you get big enough, you don't have an export anymore, and you lock people in, and you need a couple $1 million to get started. Well, I feel like the game has changed, and I'm kind of like trying to see like what does this look like for the future for like a more resilient and kind of like, I mean, in some ways the way that we've been trying to build BCard, like this is a thing that we build and then we don't actually need to maintain it as much because it's built um, on the kinds pieces of infrastructure that we either don't have to pay for or we pay like kind of like a little amount monthly, and the user's doing a lot of processing on their own, or we have a back end and we have a front end, and the front end is run by the user and it's kind of local first. Anyways, all these kinds of things, it's kind of up in the air for me because I feel like the game is changing and I feel like we can change the way that we're delivering values to the user, but I'm not quite sure how that looks like yet. I'm still thinking that through. Anyways, all this to say that I really think that yeah.
Lots of new stuff coming down the pipeline to figure out how to use it well and stuff. I know my wife and I are both small business runners, and having our own sort of access to our data and like keeping it up to date or whatever is like it's a really to me it's like a really calming influence on sort of the direction that I'm taking. Just being aware of what's happening. That's just my thought.
Yeah, because like one of the things that I talked to a couple of people about is like, oh, I don't want my business data to be on to like be consumed by OpenAI or Google or whoever, right? Like they're like maybe I might use it for one business, but not for my personal or whatever. Like there's some privacy aspect that people are having too, and so the value could also be running an LLM locally, like Olama or something like that, or maybe
For
running
sure.
your own LLM.
Or even just we open source the code, right? And people can deploy their own on their own server, right? So they own it and they handle all of the comms end to end.
Yeah, and so I definitely think we should do that. And most people will never run their own servers, right? So if we really want it to be used, we have to have some way to deliver the value that's not them um, doing it. Although I do think that it should be open source and people could run it themselves as well if they want.
Sorry, my vacuum is just making a loud noise, so I just had to move around. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that you're right. Not very many people will run their own servers, so the onus will be on us to provide a reasonably like low cost and relatively easy to use entry level that people can just like sign up and log in, right? So that's
Yeah,
the idea
exactly.
behind the SB tracker is we're going to have a fully featured thing. People can sign up, use it for free. There's extra features. You pay a couple bucks a month or whatever, right? But then I also want to open source it so that people can download it. They can use it as they need.
Cool. Yeah, maybe this is something we can like talk about at the product meet on Friday, Tom.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Cool. All right. Um, All right, yeah. So I think like in general, like these AI workflows, what I really wanted is like there's a bunch of like we're paying for Google Business, and there's a bunch of stuff included in that we could use. Like anyone here could probably use. We could probably figure out a way to set it up so that anyone could use it. And so I just wanted to go through some of the tools that exist, so that we could talk about it. Like honestly, this is top of mind for me because I'm kind of trying to clean up my own um, AI usage, and so that's why I'm bringing it up. But I think it's also, as the game is changing, I think it's useful for us to kind of look at what we have available to us, and people can test with it if they like. So one of the ones that I've been using lately is Gemini CLI. This is like Claude Code or Codex. I'm using this, but like honestly, like you can use the free tier, and it has a kind of ridiculously generous. Um, it has kind of like a ridiculously generous amount in the free tier. So if you're thinking about coding anything, it may be good to use. I am actually trying to like refine my workflow in a way that I can potentially share as a blog post as well. And in doing that, I'm going to adjust our community pages code to be more Gemini friendly, like have a full agents MD, look at the way that we're tracking tasks, look at the way that we're holding our spec. A lot of the stuff that I think is kind of like all over the place, I should probably just have it all in the repo so that we can just consume it a lot more easily. So Gemini CLI is like a little command line tool that when you use it, you can talk to it back and forth like you would ChatGPT, and then you can have it like edit your code like you would using Windsurf or Cursor. I would say that for all of the developers who I've been talking to, they all say that the CLI tool is their tool of choice. And another thing is that because it's like quote unquote agentic, it basically means that you can have like multiple instances of it running. And so you have like multiple threads of work that you can do at a time, which is what developers tell me is the most useful aspect of it. Honestly, I've been struggling with Windsurf lately. And so I think maybe I want to learn how to use these CLI tools a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, as developers, Tom and Phil, do you have any comments on these new AI CLI tools?
Typically, I use
Uh,
VS Code with Copilot. Copilot has access to a lot of the different LLMs. So that you can switch back and forth. So you're using Grok, it hits a roadblock or whatever, you can flip over to Sonnet 4.5. So Claude Sonnet 4.5 to me has been like the rock solid, like ace in terms of LLMs for like, fixing stuff up when other models have difficulty. my typical workflow is I'll scaffold with one of the freer tools because I think there's a token limit for some of the more premium models. I'll scaffold a lot of my work out with Grok or with GPT, and then I'll refine individual features and do full code audits using Claude. I find that works really well in terms of getting me to a work list that allows me to make real steady progress on feature addition.
Nice.
Nice.
That's good insight. I've been using Cursor mainly, and I don't code like 8 hours a day, so I've been using the more expensive models and not hit the limits. So and it works pretty well. I've used the mostly the chat the OpenAI models, and yeah, it used to be very hit and miss, but recently with Chat GPT 5, I've had, well, yeah, a lot of happy surprises or success. So, but yeah, I don't have a workflow as evolved as what you described, Tom.
Yeah, maybe. So I'm paying for Windsurf, and it has a bunch of models too, and it has Claude Sonnet 4.5 as well. But I don't know. I've been having really spotty results with it, which is why I'm looking into Gemini CLI in the first place. And literally every like serious 8 hour a day dev, who I think is like a quote unquote crack dev, always tells me that they use Claude Code. I'm just like, oh, okay, I should start using. I should start at least learning how the CLI tool works a little bit better because I'm definitely mid curving it.
I think the biggest thing I found with Claude is that like occasionally all the other ones will hit a roadblock on something that's not difficult. It's hits a roadblock that it cannot surpass. That if you take a look at it, you jump in and you look at the code, you're like, this is a simple fix. Like I don't understand why you get it, but that doesn't happen nearly as often with Claude, in my experience.
Yeah, I've had that experience a lot. Guys, I have to
Okay.
run, but that was a great call for me, great intro, very interesting. I'll reach out later and continue the journey with you guys, hopefully. So thanks a lot for having me, and I'll catch you later.
Nice to meet
All
you,
right.
Phil.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. So Notebook LM, I think, is an interesting one too. So this is the one I probably used the most before I was using code. Maybe not the most, but I really think it's interesting. Notebook LM. Actually, I wonder if I can pop it open here. Notebook LM, Google Notebook LM. So try Notebook LM. Can it just? Here we go. Can you see us? So
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
the
see it.
interesting thing about it is when you go into it, you can basically set its context. So, for instance, you may have, let's say you're writing a blog article, Richard, right? And so you're like, hey, I have a bunch of like thoughts on the blog article. I'm going to add links to Splitz's documentation on this. I wrote some just thoughts down. I'm gonna put that in here. I'm gonna like have my Google Drive of like some of the things that I've done with it. And then this is your kind of context here, your sources. And then you chat with it to like kind of refine it, and then it like will do things for you. So for instance, an audio overview, a video overview, a mind map, reports, flashcards, quiz, like it can do all of these kinds of outputs for you, including yeah, so like you can also feed it like samples of your writing and that kind of stuff so that it writes in your voice. And the really nice thing about Notebook LM is that you have like fine grained control over the context, which isn't as true for some of the other tools out there like ChatGPT, which are just going back and forth, which are just like more like, let's call them general purpose models. Anyways, I think it's worth taking a look at if you haven't seen it. You can even do coding with this too. Like you can throw your like GitHub in here, or you can like put actual code, and you can do that too. Anyways, it's a tool that's really geared towards tuning the context, and there are some use cases where you really want to tune the context. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I never used it myself, but I bet it would be super valuable. I was thinking something along the lines of like, I have an old app that I've got to like rebuild, grabbing it and like throwing it into Notebook LLM to get an analysis and get like a real procedural step by step to upgrade the app is probably a cool thing to think about.
Yeah. And I think like Richard as well, this might be useful to you in like if you're like writing a blog article, yeah, but like also if you're like thinking about like, hey, how might I want to do these like taxes? How might I want to like do a couple things like that, like just like where the context is really specific to us rather than general. Anyways, thought it might be useful to you. So take a peek. All right. There's also Google AI Studio. And so this is a browser-based workflow for using generative AI. This is one that I've been meaning to try for a couple weeks and I just haven't. But like it's kind of like so we have if you're using Midjourney, it's essentially Google's version of Midjourney. Like that's included in there. It's called Nano Banana, which I feel like is a missed opportunity to say Nano Banano, but whatever. That's that's just me. So like image generation, like Midjourney, it has video generation, so VO. So for like let's see, Google AI Studio, Nano Banana, here, VO3. So apparently this is done really well. So if you see those Sora videos that OpenAI makes on like their Sora, I guess like it's a social network essentially, you can make videos like that using Google VO3. And so it's like best in class physics, generated videos, build fast, iterate quicker. Like, these kinds of things like are really potentially useful on our socials. So if you want to play with this kind of thing, like this is the kind of thing I thought NF Thinker might get a kick out of using, being a visual artist yourself. It may be interesting to you. And then also, Tom, we can use it. Like let's imagine for an instant, like you did you see all those warplets on Farcaster?
Yeah, I saw a bit about them.
So I don't know if you remember, but like I feel like in the past I was kind of like, hey, it would be cool if we could make our own Black Flag NFT, um, NFT, um, yeah, like a Black Flag NFT that's kind of generative, um, and we could do that using something like this with a prompt, and then using their Farcaster, like consuming like their Farcaster PFP, for instance, so like mixing their Farcaster PFP with the with like a Black Flag prompt, and they everyone has their own kind of like pirate flag as a result. Anyways, these are the kinds of things that like we might be able to use this stuff for. And of course, like, we have to pay per use for some of this stuff, but we already get a free tier with our Google business. So we can utilize some of this stuff as we like. So there's um, a bunch of different models related to this. But yes, anyways, that's Google AI Studio. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of like what they seem to be coming up with is like work roles, right? Like almost like this is the designer, this is your, artist, this is your project manager, and each of these like particular tools are kind of designed to assist and enhance sort of the workflow of those particular roles, right? Seems like to me.
Exactly. And one of the things that I thought was really striking was that some of the people who've made interesting things in the past, like one of the early engineers on Google, he was just like, when we did our first kind of Series C, we were 350 people, or sorry, his Series A. He's like we were at 350 people, and now we could do all of that with less than 10 people. And it's not just development. You could do development. You could do your marketing copy. You could do your marketing images. You could do all these things with fewer people. At least that's what they're saying. And so I think that like one of the things that I'm personally trying to do right now is just get a little bit more comfortable with this stuff because like I said before, I think the game is kind of changing a little bit. and if we can utilize this stuff to our best advantage, it puts us in the same kind of bucket as some of these funded cards and these funded other things. We don't have the deals that they have. We don't have the money that they have. And so we can't get some of the kind of compliance related things that we could use. But what we do potentially have is the wherewithal and gumption to learn about these AI kinds of things faster and react to it quicker than some of these other groups can do. Leveraging that with our own kind of, hey, we don't have to make a profit because we're volunteer, we could get a lot done. We could create something that is really truly useful and potentially game changing. Anyways, just something that I had in my head, but to do that, it really behooves us to kind of learn the tools a little bit more, and that's what I really want to spend some time on in the next couple weeks. And I wanted to share that with this group as I'm doing it. Does that make sense? Anything there spark any interest from anyone?
I think we're all in a big shift generally societally about how we're going to handle work, right? And this tooling is going to be a major catalyst for sort of the change that comes down the pipeline for the way people operate their businesses. It's going to shake up a lot of things, I think, but in the long term, hopefully we trend towards having things be more, personally useful as we move forward. And I think that's sort of the thing that I'm looking forward to. Something that's not made for everybody, something that's made for you.
Exactly. Yep. I completely agree. And I also think that there's a big gap between like a lot of people like, oh, it's easy, just use it. I don't think it is easy. I mean, even as someone who is a developer, but if I'm only developing part-time, it's actually not that easy to learn how to use these prompt-based UIs in a way that makes it faster or easier for me to get more stuff out. I don't see it in the way that I want to or need to see it. It takes time, and what that means is that I do think that like for purpose-driven communities, volunteer communities, even just like some step-by-step blog articles on how to use some of this stuff. Hey, how to use Google VO to write your marketing copy or create your things. I think that could be really useful to purpose-driven communities. Anyways, something to think about. Any thoughts on this, Richard or Chris?
Yeah, I haven't really been doing too much with AI tools except for just I've been using Venice every now and then, messed around with the video creation side of things. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely the types of tools that we need to be using. So, yeah, interesting to see what will come of it.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't I've basically just been doing like Chat GPT stuff, and haven't really tried. I mean, there's just like so much out there, and stuff is changing so fast, and like all some of the stuff you need like subscriptions for, and then like it's possible that you're not even using it the next month, but it's moving pretty fast.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of the reasons I think as well, like it's moving so fast. And as you said, like, um, stuff that you like, oh, you might have to pay for something and then next month you're not paying for it. And everyone's just kind of like looking because everyone's spending so much on this and as well they are not only are they spending a lot, they're also like not charging as much as stuff costs because they're kind of in that kind of web 2 mode of business where they're subsidizing users and stuff to try to win. But as a result, stuff is changing so quickly that it's hard for anyone to really even just commit to a workflow or something like that. So if we can extract like one or two interesting workflows out of this, I think it could be really useful to some people who are just kind of like staying above the fray right now because they just don't see the value to themselves right now.
I've been thinking about it's almost like having a junior assistant if you get it the workflow just right, where you can sort of like high up level your thought process to be more structural rather than like down in the weeds with the actual nitty gritty. And so maybe that's a benefit for the long term, is that people get to up level their thoughts and planning.
Yeah, I was thinking that too because apparently that's the way that I should be using these CLI tools, and I haven't been, right? Like I've just been kind of like I haven't been using agents.md. I haven't been using like the best practices to use like a spec folder and stuff like that, and I just haven't been. Um, so yeah, maybe I just need to turn my thinking a little bit more strategic as I'm using these.
Yeah, it's probably like once you've got a practice case to like run through or whatever, right? And then you get like hands on with like building it practically or whatever. As you go through day by day, you're going to develop probably the system that makes it feel really, really effective for you.
Cool. All right, I see we're coming up on time here, so I just want to say thanks everyone for being here. Appreciate y'all. This is a place for us to be able to experiment. This is a place where you can grow. This is a place where we're aiming to achieve something, but we don't have the same constraints as you might have in your day job. This is a place where you can do something different, and I really do think that it's going to take doing things differently in this kind of time of, I mean, I don't want to say chaos, but let's say change and transition. So, you can use this place as the place for experimentation and change and that kind of thing. Even if it's not directly related to purpose-driven communities, feel free to just kind of like to kind of like use the resources that we have to grow as a person, because that's really, I mean, I think you guys know that that's my goal, is to create a place that people can come to be their best self. So I appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to continue to try to be my best self, and us being able to have the time to chat and have something to work towards together. That really helps me on that front. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Lynx. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Great day.
Bye.